Welcome everybody to TRUtalk. I'm GamerDad. So I've got a lot of news today. There's quite a few topics. They're all pretty short, but there's a lot of them to go through today.
Oh,
It'll be fun.
yes.
If you're a Capcom fan, or you love watching YouTube gaming, you're in for some disappointment because there's some big changes coming. And one of our big guys made us look good and look a little bad because we didn't make it on the cover of ESPN magazine. A little jealous, just a little jealous. So another milestone for Ninja, ESPN the magazine, kind of a big deal. Nintendo Switch also has a little big deal going on right now with their online platform taking off very soon. It's got some interesting twists to it, as well as some Fortnite features coming out with it. So we'll dig into that, and then all the hype in the world for Marvel and Captain Marvel. The trailer came out very recently. I'm super excited for this. I know nothing about the lore, so I'm kind of the entertainment guy enjoying this, not really the comic book guy enjoying this. So we'll get into that. And
Yes, we will.
Yeah, because I don't think you liked it.
I don't watch trailers, but I love that character, and I know
Fair
know a
enough.
lot about the character. So I'm down for this film.
Oh, this will
but
be great.
Spoilers. Yeah.
And then some big games coming out, but if you get them early, they might cost you a little bit more. And then I'll leave you guys with one last question. Are consoles on their way out? And with that in mind, let's get into it. Captain Marvel. I can't say anything more. We've got a trailer. I loved it. I'm super excited. YouTube gaming. I didn't even realize it was a thing. It's not going to be anymore. I mean,
right.
I don't know what else to say about that one. So we're going to say bye-bye. And Nintendo Switch online services, it's coming. It's going to be a lot like PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live, any of the other online services. They have the price announced. They've got some interesting features, and it's going to have some news in it with Fortnite. And Jim, what do you got for us?
A lot, but I'll narrow it down. I mean, Ninja's on ESPN magazine. It's a first. We don't normally like to go way beyond our reach here, but this is something that's so it's epoch making, and it's something that I thought was really important. Streaming services are the way of the future. I mean, clearly, it feels like it's getting integrated more and more into mainstream life as we go along. So it's something really important to talk about. Early release games are controversial to begin with, and now they could cost you more money. So it's like, is that going to be a smart move for that early access culture, or is it going to be something that maybe is the death knell of the casual early access? And we could talk about some of the reasons that may or may not be happening. We'll figure it out, I guess. And in other rather sad news, Capcom terminates production in Vancouver. Not cool, but it's a sign of just the things that seem to happen in the video game industry. But we'll get into that as we go along. But to bring things right back up to happiness or angriness, depending upon who you talk to, Angry Gringa is here tonight, and we're really stoked to have you on the show. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, I guess we could do that.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. But the fact is, your name, has a certain kind of evocation to it. I mean, Angry Gringa, that means like a mad lady. And it's very like it is evocative of certain things, and you seem like a lovely person to me.
Thank you.
So where did this get started? Like, what got you on Twitch? What started the whole thing? What made the Angry Gringa go out in the world?
Well, I got the name. I was called that in high school, actually. Many years ago. We won't say how many, but
my guess is 5.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
7 times.
So yeah, but I most of my friends are Latinas, and I was the only white girl, and they called me the Angry Gringa.
I have a side question based on that story. Did many people talk to you like they know you? Just asking.
Oh boy.
Hey.
But you know,
it's contextual.
But that's just, it just kind of stuck. And nobody really messed with me much. I'll just tell you that. But yeah,
well, with a name like that, I mean,
I'm really not that angry.
But somewhere along the way, someone decided to call you that. Like, where'd that come from? Like, what? So, without getting into any like maybe dark past, but like, you know, that aside, like what does make you angry? What do you get angry about? Like, what does make you go? Or aside from soccer,
I suffer from a debilitating disease called PvP-itis. When I'm on PvP, I go into a fit of rage, and I have, the only way that I can get over that rage is to have intermittent, you know, angry shouts out, you know, like I just kind of lose my mind for a brief moment, and then I come back to reality.
I need some entertainment. Do you want to play some Destiny 2 PvP later?
Iron Banner, sure. You'll definitely see it come out. But other than that, I'm great.
That's the thing. Like, it's so weird. I find, again, as an aside, like Iron Banner is my favorite thing in Destiny, period. And it was something that I shied away from in the beginning of Destiny. And I was scared to play it because power level mattered. And it was so hard to get power level. And now it matters again. And I was a little worried. We got a few stacks that were like in the higher echelons, and I just running around going, shotgun pellets still work when I'm this far from your face. You know, it was pretty cool. And but there's a lot of people I find that I wouldn't think that they wouldn't like PvP, but they don't. And then you get them in there, and you get them in there with a good stack, and they have fun. But there's this stigma with like the solo queue, and I think that's true for almost any group PvP experience. Where like the solo queue, you can either thrive there, or you can be like, you stupid blueberry. Like it tends to happen a lot. Like, do you find like the solo queue kind of side of things is where you get mad, or is it just in general, even with a team, you just get so angry? You know?
Yes.
To all of it.
Both those things.
Sure.
You're like, what part of PvP did you not understand, Jim? Okay, I don't like it. And I get mad.
I do.
I thought I made that clear.
I get a little frustrated sometimes, but you know,
right.
It's because everybody's lagging. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Lag switch.
Lag switch. Has nothing to do with my lack of skill.
Nothing whatsoever. Whatsoever. But you know, the thing is about PvP, just like Pac-Man, you can win by turning it off, by saying goodbye.
Just can't walk away.
It's so good though. It's so bad, but it's so good.
I crave competition until I start losing.
So what's in the rearview mirror, Joe? What's in the rearview mirror right now?
What do you mean? What's in the rearview mirror?
What are we saying goodbye to? This is a horrible.
Oh, we're jumping right on in. Fantastic. Okay. Well, apparently some of us are saying goodbye to YouTube gaming. I thought just streaming was just straight through YouTube. I didn't know they had like the separate YouTube gaming platform. So they're getting rid of it. And YouTube has stated, I chuckled at this. They launched it in 2015 after Twitch exploded and was bought by Amazon. So that was in 2014.
Right.
It never reached the same level of visibility in use. I didn't know it was there.
Well, what they did was they tried to take the existing gaming content, live streaming, and any new content. And YouTube Gaming was a separate app, as well as a separate, a different, like more focused version of the site, much like YouTube Music. They were trying to give you opportunities to kind of drill down how you wanted to experience things. And in theory, it was a cool idea, but you can't out Twitch. No one's done it yet. There are a lot of different platforms out there. that have some great features that Twitch does not have. But at the end of the day, Twitch is Twitch, and YouTube wasn't good at leveraging the what they're good at, or what they were good at the time, in making an exclusive gaming thing, and people, they're already used to using that service a certain way. And so when they're like, hey, we're going to do it totally different, people were like, it doesn't matter. Like, no one really cared. And I even tried once or twice, and it was just, they launched it without really knowing what they should have been trying to do with the chat or with visibility in certain ways, and ended up just not sticking. And basically, it failed at launch, and all the fixes they made along the way, there wasn't visibility for those fixes. People were already just imbibing YouTube as YouTube. It just was unnecessary. It was an extra layer of almost a barrier of entry in some ways. It didn't need to be there. And I'm grateful that Google, nay YouTube, understands that to a degree. But I feel like there's a missed opportunity in the last 3 years with that they just kind of stuck it on the wall, tweaked a few little things, and never gave it any attention. Not really. You know, aside from a pretty cheeky Twitter account that they had, which was so out of touch with what actually is going on in gaming. So it's, I'm glad it's gone. It's kind of like a Jack Nicholson. I'm glad you're dead. You know, it's like, get out of here.
Well, you want to talk about out of touch? I mean, if you go and I just went to their website for the first time ever, and the first two clips recommended links to click on. One is from a group called Twitch Streams. Second one is from Twitch Clips. And the first three rows are some of the biggest, most well-known Twitch streamers out there.
Yeah.
So all they're doing is giving marketing to Twitch. They're not getting, if anybody even goes here, they're just seeing Twitch. And
right. Never mind the fact that some of the biggest, or I wouldn't say biggest YouTubers, but some of the most prominent gaming YouTubers already had at that point, and continue to have, thriving Twitch communities. There was nothing to be gained by moving that over. And at first they had some high profile guys and gals that came over, and they're like, I don't like this. And they went back to Twitch because they weren't making the right money. And the toxicity levels in the chats there were like, you think Twitch is bad? You know, take YouTube comment section times 100 and then make it in real time.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Now,
if I were a Gringa, it'd make me angry.
Yeah.
Gringa, have you tried YouTube gaming?
I have not.
Have you heard of it?
I knew it was there, but I honestly never watched, had no interest in it. So, no.
It's kind of like when one of your older parents goes, I got an iPhone and I can message you. Like, I know, Mom. It's fine. That's how it works, actually. Everyone can.
Yeah.
You try that. And that's the awkwardness that we're having right now. It's exactly what YouTube gaming was. It was just like, we can do this. No, it's not.
That's
no.
neat.
Yeah.
That's
nice,
cute.
dear. You know. Oh,
Cute.
look, he's got a streaming service. Oh no. YouTube streaming is awful, in my personal opinion. The interface is garbage. They've made no real attempts, because the client side of the house, where you actually have to interface with chat and all that, has just been abysmal since day one. There was next to no streamer support in there. Monetization came slowly and trickled through. They didn't seem to have any interest in being truly competitive. They just wanted to make a thing on YouTube that was like that. And they didn't want to put any R&D into it. They didn't want to put any money into it, and they didn't want to put any promotion behind it. Not really. They promoted the hell out of it leading up to launch, and then after that, you're like, ew, like no one cared.
We're here. We told you guys we were coming. Now we just expect you to know it.
Right, right. And maybe it'll be one of those things where it's like you don't know what you have until it's gone. I doubt it, but it's something that is like that. Capcom announced, I believe it was today or yesterday, that they're terminating development at Capcom Vancouver. Now, these are the cats that brought you Dead Rising 2 and 3, I believe. And they were working on 4 and a bunch of other things. And they just went and just got rid of them. They're going to be, they're taking like 30% of the staff have been laid off 2 months ago to begin with. It just was clear that there was some problems in that studio, and Capcom, whether wisely or not, opted to close that studio, and they're going to lose a lot of money because of it. Somewhere in the realm of $40 million US, because of money that was spent on games that aren't going to come out. But it's never nice to hear of studios closing. Like, think of like some of the best Capcom games that come out in the last couple of years. Chances are someone from Capcom Vancouver touched it, and there's no guarantee these cats are going to be rolling back into Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
don't take away my Resident Evil.
There you go.
Or my Devil May Cry.
Well, you know, Resident Evil 2, the remake is coming out next year. But like, do you guys pay attention to that kind of stuff? Does it hit you at all emotionally when this kind of stuff happens, or does it kind of seem far removed from as a business decision? You don't think about it on a human level, because that's an easy thing to have happen. How does it?
It affects. I get it. It's because a lot of these games are very nostalgic, especially Resident Evil, because you've played like all of them up to a certain point. And I'm not saying that Resident Evil is like going away or whatever, but I'm just using that as an example. It would be sad. I mean, I think it would be sad. I can live without Dead Rising, honestly, but the others, I don't know what all is going to be affected, but there's people out there that it is very important to them. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, for me, like, if you think about it, I played Devil May Cry for a while. I got into Resident Evil at the first few things. I mean, seeing any kind of industry or any kind of production studio that helped make these games, all of a sudden, I mean, it kind of just feels like with them being willing to take that big of a hit, it's just being pushed by the wayside, like, right. And being in, previously working for a game production company in their US offices, it brings kind of like a little bit of memory back for me of what I went through, because they had a lot of issues with some of their games, and they couldn't support the additional office and did a heavy reduction of staffing. So, I feel for the employees. I mean, it's ultimately, I get it. It's a business. They have to do what they have to do. I mean, to me, keep the office open and finish these games. Close the office, lose $40 million. Like, how much were they going to lose if the office stayed open is what I really want to know. If they're willing to cut $40 million.
That was kind of my thought. And maybe, maybe they were like developing a game where you just picked up your dog's poop and like, this is stupid. Like, who knows? Like, who knows what it was,
Why did that game come to mind?
Dookie Rising.
I would totally play that game.
Capcom, hurry up. It's still time. You're still time to reverse your decision. We want to play Dookie Rising. There's a lot of things that we're never going to really be like privy to in these sort of things, and that is what it is. Yep. Some decisions are just baffling. Yeah. Right, Joe?
And one of the things that we are privy to, by the way, is we get to see a nice little Twitch thing for ESPN magazine, right? We get to see Ninja putting his face right on up in front of everybody. I think this is a pretty big deal. I know it's not like it's just the big guy getting his name out there again, moving himself further up, but it's also pretty exciting because it's putting Twitch out in front of ESPN even more, like esports way out there.
Well, especially when one considers that like ESPN has tried to dabble here and there with esports over the last few years with mixed results. So for them to just up and take Ninja and just say, here's the guy that's the face of live streaming on Twitch right now, and to give him, a cover story and everything, that's big, because it's recognizing him as a force in not just our realm, but in the mainstream overarching, pantheon of competitive work. There's a legitimacy that's coming with this that I don't think can be understated. No matter how you may feel about Ninja, his streams, or what he's said on or off, those things, the fact that someone in his position is now on the cover of ESPN. If you'd have told me that a year, 2 years, 5 years ago, that was going to be a thing. I'm like, what are you drinking? Can I have some?
Twitch, what? Right? Like, yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Forget it. What are your thoughts on this, Gringo? I mean, do you think this is a good thing?
I think this is fantastic, and I'm like super excited about it. Because I don't know how many people have asked me, what is Twitch? What is it? Because we're in a pretty tight subculture within the gaming industry. I mean, everybody knows what games are and blah, blah, blah. But I'm dumbfounded still that people don't know what Twitch is, don't know what streaming games is. People watch you play games. I'm like, well, not a lot of people watch me, but a lot of people watch Ninja, Dr. Disrespect, Shroud, GamerDad. Everybody watches these people.
You see that? You see what she did there?
What I'm saying, I mean, I think it's fantastic that it's getting put in a mainstream culture, and it will give an opportunity for people to kind of like look into it. And I think it's pretty exciting, and that it's going to be taken seriously. That's my take.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really. I mean, I can see the cover, or at least one of the images that they put up for them. I mean, this is all about it. It feels like a 30 for 30 of an esports, like a pro gamer, right? Because this is the Legend of Ninja, the greatest gamer in the world. Right, so it's going to focus on him from the esports perspective. They are obviously going to have to mention Twitch because that's how everybody sees them, right? So it's not necessarily going to be, hey, ESPN, look, we've got Twitch for you, but so it's not necessarily really all there at the top, but it's still it's amazing. Again, you said it, Jim. Whether you like the guy or not, whether you watch the guy or not, whatever. I don't watch him. I mean, his content is just Fortnite. It's fun for some, but not for me. But it's still amazing to see where Twitch has gone with this.
Much agreed. And, it certainly was unexpected. I thought it may have been somewhat inevitable at some point, but I wasn't expecting it when I got it. And there's other things that I didn't expect to see today. And one of them was this whole Switch online service deal. As soon as I heard about just the concept without looking into like the details of it, I was like, here we go.
Yep.
Nintendo's going to screw this up. But they're actually taking a pretty interesting stance with it. It's basically Nintendo's answer to Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus. The total cost per year is $20 a year, which is not bad. If you pay it monthly, it's $4 a month, so you'll pay almost double that way.
Yep.
But if you're like, if $20 is just hard to come by and you want to get started, you can pay $4, whatever. But here is where it really kind of went for me. When you buy a Nintendo game, and I didn't know this, you get gold coins, which are currency on the digital store. And 2,000 of those coins will pay your annual fee for the year. So if you buy roughly, let's say, 5 new games, 6 new games a year, if they're brand new, the coins you get from those purchases would pay for your online service. Free and clear. You ain't going to worry about it. And to me, it's almost a logical reversal of the PlayStation Plus model where you're paying a lot, but you're getting a ton of games back for your money. Now, which of these is the better deal is up for debate depending upon the person and their situation. But it's a really interesting thing. You don't have to make the decision, do I buy a new game or do I pay for a year of this, whatever? Because if there's a couple games coming out this year, like I don't have a Switch. But what's cool about this is that if I really wanted to, if I went and I bought a Switch and I bought all the games that I really want, conceivably, the first year of my subscription's paid for.
Yep.
Or I skip coffee for a couple weeks and I'd be able to pay for it. But that'll never happen. Okay?
Well,
it's
no.
never going to happen.
No,
it's not. But I do think it's a very Nintendo thing to do, right? It's giving something in there. Where they kind of lose me, cloud save backups that go up to the cloud, which is redundant remark. If your subscription expires, your saves go away. Bad idea.
Yep.
Charge me $10 more a year. Make it $30 a year, and then like freaking keep my game save files, man. What if I'm down on my luck? What if my credit card gets ganked or something? It's pretty. It's a very Nintendo way of doing it. They're like, we'll give you this great thing, and we're gonna do this innovative way of paying for it. But if you don't pay us, you're gonna lose stuff. I don't think that.
I mean, but doesn't like Xbox Live and Place, or at least PlayStation Plus, doesn't it do that with their free with PS Plus games, right? You pay $60 a year, and every month or so you get access to these free games. But if you stop paying, you lose the games.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like that's not your personal save data, right? And if something, let's say that the reason you let your subscription last is your Switch went belly up, and there's this huge like long drawn out thing between you and Nintendo getting it fixed, which let's face it could happen. And then you lose your saves and you don't even think about it because you're just not, you don't have it on your mind because you're trying to get it fixed or whatever. Maybe you're moving, whatever. There's a lot of situations I can think of where it would legitimately happen. At least with cloud saves and so forth with Microsoft and Sony, I think they keep them for like at least a year or something. There's a pretty long period of time that stuff is hung on to.
Yeah.
Whereas this does not appear to be the case. It's pretty interesting. And the Switch doesn't let you back up your save files yourself. You can't. The cloud saves are like, that's it. Either on the console with no way to back them up outside of that. So the repair scenario we're talking about, they're gone.
Yeah, for good.
That's not cool.
I mean, and reading some of the live responses while we're talking about this, I mean, I see the word extortion coming up. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go that far. That's probably a little bit more harsh, but it's still the same concept. If you pay me, you have to continue to pay me or you lose everything, you know. And I made the comparison to the PlayStation games on PS Plus versus the Nintendo saves. I mean, it is a similar concept, but at the same time, if I go get PlayStation Plus, I'm gonna get some game, you know, I know what the game is this month, but I can get that game, I can start playing it, I can build on it, and then if I let my subscription lapse in a year, all the work I did still there when I come back and renew it later. Where I mean, if I'm playing Mario Kart and I did all these special things, got all these cool little whatever you get, and lose it all because I skipped the subscription, I'm gonna stop playing with the Switch. I mean, I worry for customer retention with this.
Well, but you know, in a very bold, smart move, you don't need it to play Fortnite, so it's not going to affect their largest player base.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
The free-to-play concept will still be upheld for a lot of these online games. I think I saw a couple of others that were true free-to-play games mentioned in here as well. Arena of Valor, which is just a MOBA that's a free-to-play, that was also confirmed. And Warframe as well. So yeah, you can use it for your console entry into whatever those, you know, your free-to-play games are. But I don't know. If I'm getting a Switch, I'm not getting it to play Warframe and Fortnite.
Right. Not to mention the fact that like there are some other cool things. Like you're getting NES classic games about 20 or at launch, I believe, and they're doing more from there. You can play them offline up to 7 days. You have to connect to the internet each week, kind of thing, which is it's standard. I mean,
it's a Netflix
in this day and age, if you're not paying, if you're not basically the only people that might affect is the person that never puts the Switch in their dock, which is no one because you have to charge it.
Right.
But I get it. So you know, if you're really into it as a portable, high-end gaming system, and you love Nintendo classics, the service is a pretty good deal. $20 a year gets you access to 20 games at a minimum, and you also get, you know, the online access and stuff like that. The question is, if you're that into Nintendo Classic games, you probably already have those games in either an NES Classic, the actual cartridges, and still play them, or emulation, which would be a possibility. Although TRUtalk in no way endorses piracy of any kind, because that would be bad.
There's one interesting.
Go ahead.
Okay, there's one interesting concept that I do like with this system being portable, having an online subscription. And I'm gonna pick on Gringa for a second, right? She was talking earlier offline that she was out at a sporting event with the kids. Well, with this, right? Get them a classic, get a Switch, get the subscription, get some of those classic games, and they're just sitting in the back seat, jamming away at some of these games, and not needing the internet, being able to download them and extract them instead of needing to do that with like Netflix and stuff.
Right.
I mean, there's a bigger access point here that you can't get with Xbox Live and PlayStation, because good luck packing that up in the back of a minivan without inconveniencing. It's a big box. The same. I mean, I like it. I think this is an exciting thing, minus the save game loss.
Yeah, and I guess I feel like Nintendo has such a horrible storied past with their online services that I'm like, yeah, we'll see if it works. You know, because at the price point they're talking about, it seems reasonable, but it also seems to be evidence that they're really not putting a lot of money into it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really in Nintendo's idea to mess up or really run away with, and we'll see.
Yep.
We will see. Will we not? I mean, with that though, I mean they've got a new bundle coming out, which this is interesting. It's a Fortnite bundle for the Nintendo Switch, which by itself is going to sell a bunch of Switches, but because the service is not needed to play Fortnite, it's almost like there's a missed opportunity to kind of promote the service on some level. Like it's weird. And, you know, in keeping with one of our favorite things here on TRUtalk, there's some exclusive in-game content that goes along with this. Exclusive Fortnite stuff you can only get on the Switch. They give you like 1,000 V-Bucks, and you get like the console's a little bit different, and you also get the double Helix set. It's an outfit, a pickaxe, glider, and backbling, which is, you know, it's not. Is it a huge deal? No, not. And no more of a huge deal than like the Twitch Prime bundles you get for Fortnite or whatever. But given the fact that it's, you know, they're bundling Fortnite with the Switch is kind of like it's a free game. It doesn't really. I don't get it.
I mean, it's the most expensive V-Bucks purchase ever.
There you go. We're giving away 1,000 V-Bucks and with it a Switch. You know, it was like, you know, I can just see all the Twitter accounts now. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's okay if I'm getting a Switch and want to play Fortnite. Sure, I'll go. This is gonna sell it like crazy. They're not gonna be able to keep this bundle in store. The thing that is disappointing though,
portable Fortnite. That's the big thing. But the thing is, you have to still have the internet connection though.
Yes.
No offline play for that.
Right. The thing that's disappointing though is they're actually saying you won't get a custom console with it. It's going to be the same red and blue. The red and blue Joy-Con. Yeah, it says it won't feature. So it's just the straight up bundle, and it's just a Switch that comes with some cool Fortnite stuff. So to me, it's like just go buy a Switch and free with Switch purchase is really what it sounds like to me.
Here's a question that I have, because it doesn't seem outlined here. It doesn't come with like the PvE version of Fortnite, does it?
I would assume not.
Which I would think would be a selling point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my butt. You know, and frankly, real talk, I'm just sick and tired of hearing about goddamn Fortnite. Okay,
yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Me too.
Yeah,
it's a decent game. I have enjoyed it when I've played it. But the obsession with it, to me, is really linked to the fact that anyone can play it for no money. I think if that game costs any money to play,
it'll fail. Yeah.
PUBG, you know, it would not be as popular as it is. That's just a fact. And the fact that Nintendo's like, hey, we're good at Fortnite bits. It just seems like kind of a cheap move.
It's
just kind of a
marketing on the most popular thing out there that doesn't cost them much more money. I guarantee they've got a good deal with Epic, and it's going to cost them hardly anything to do.
I mean, I'm just shouting out as a parent. A lot of Nintendo games are geared towards a lot of younger players as well, and first and second graders are asking about Fortnite.
True.
Mom, I want to play Fortnite. Blah blah blah. My kids think I'm so cool because I have Fortnite on the computer. They just haven't watched me play, thank God. But anyway, what I'm saying is, I think it is a very good marketing decision on their part because most parents, not us as parents because we're cool parents, but like the majority don't understand this Fortnite business.
Why is it? Yeah.
I think it would be a good selling point because they're like, oh, Fortnite's free. Sure, I'll buy you a Nintendo and blah, blah, blah. So that's just my opinion.
And then they proceed to watch their first and second graders try and kill everybody.
Yeah.
But is that, okay, sidebar, is that really any different than watching us as children running around with Star Wars guns and lightsabers trying to kill each other?
It's not. It's not. We just have the internet and social media to make it look worse now.
Yes.
Speaking about things looking worse.
Oh, jeez.
Did you like that? That was a terrible transition, but we're going to go with it. So, everybody's big on pre-ordering games, jumping into games, early access for some games. It looks like some of these other games coming out soon, they've still got the regular retail price tag, but they could charge you a little bit more to jump into. Like, for example, I believe it's, is it NBA 2K19? So $60, right? It has a release date of September 11th. You could, for $40 more, you buy the $100 package, you get 4 days of early access, so you could play the game.
Only difference, like the only difference in the is that you get 4.
I don't know if it was like a limited edition with other cool stuff, but they're like $100. You can get it on the 7th.
I've seen it with like Call of Duty. If you get like the Super Digital Deluxe Edition, you get to play early and stuff like that. And you know, if that happened with like a looter like Destiny or something, like people would be rioting. Like, what do you mean? Which is why they're not doing it. But
can you imagine Forsaken if they did that? Oh, I would. You would have done it. You would have done it.
Yeah, of course. Of course I would have. That doesn't mean it's right.
Right.
Just because I would have done it. All right. I am not a role model for any of you. Right.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like the special editions for like Tomb Raider, which are like 70 and $90, you could play it 2 days early. Now, in those situations, it's a single player game. There's no online component. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. But when we're talking about competitive things like NBA or WWE or any fighting games or anything where there's an online component where there's any edge you can gain by grinding, I think it's a very dangerous move. I think it's a cash grab for no good reason, if that's the only thing you're getting out of it. If you're paying like $100 special edition, what's it, and you can only play like the single player stuff or whatever, one could argue that it's not a huge deal. But it's just that we're coming back to this place where the industry is trying really hard to monetize things a little harder. And it's like, well, just make better games and they'll sell more. And if you're already having games like NBA 2K or Call of Duty, it's like they're already going to sell. Don't just gouge people for money because you know it's going to sell. That's like Dookie Rising. Like, I don't want that.
we're going back to that game. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, looking through the article, they were talking about things like FIFA and NHL and all that stuff, giving you the early access if you bought the special edition. So it seems like it's almost like a way of marketing the push for the limited edition specialty edition games, collector's edition and whatnot. jump in, get all this other cool stuff, get a really, really cool looking box that you can't normally get, and we'll give you access early. I do hope that they're not establishing the multiplayer servers early, though. I really do, because, you know, comparing it to something like Destiny with light level, the rush for light level, the rush for raid readiness, stuff like that, you know, it is a significant handicap. As a part-time grinder of Destiny that I've now just admitted to being, 4 days of grinding is a significant amount of time, even for a part-time player. So, you know,
especially when you have someone to teach you how to do it.
Like that guy right there.
That's a bit of a plug, ladies and gentlemen.
He's over there. Good teacher.
I try to be. But I do think that you know, monetizing access in this way is dangerous and irresponsible. Bottom line. That's my thought process. I mean, as someone who gets angry in PvP, would it make you more angry, Gringa, if someone had 4 days to build up their skills and their gear and whatever it is? I mean, would that make it worse for you?
Yeah, it's kind of BS. I understand, like you said, for like the PvP stuff, I don't think it should have early access. But like Tomb Raider is a great example of how this should work, because you get those additions and they just kind of throw it in as a perk, but that's just a single player game, you know, it's not a big deal. But yeah, like with Destiny, yeah, I think people would riot for sure, because it's not I mean, if me, I'm not, you know, the game's going to be there in 4 days. I'll be okay. But there's some people who take it very, very seriously, especially on a professional competition type level, that, you know, it's not cool. But
yeah, you know, it's probably best that they kind of slow their roll on this kind of stuff, because it could get out of control and be really bad. But on the other side of the industry, things may be speeding up in a positive direction. I think Joe has something to say.
Yeah. So I was confused. The article we're about to get into, it kind of caught me off guard a little bit, because we're talking about streaming services, and I'm like, I use a stream service. I use Twitch, right? No, but we're talking about Netflix kind of stream services, getting your games through a streaming provider of some sort. And I never really thought about this, because you've had all these other game rentals like Gamefly and all this stuff. But, you know, imagine a world where you don't need any specific console. You just need a compatible streaming platform that can allow you to pull down your game, play it, and then move forward, right? And given how internet's going today, right? You got fiber available, you got all this really good quality internet out there. I don't know. I mean, it could be, they claim it could be the end of consoles. That's garbage. That's never gonna happen. Never gonna happen.
Really.
But this
because
is
consoles are really just glorified PCs at this point. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this is really, really cool. I mean, you know, you've got PlayStation Now already out there. You've got the ability to pull down games. I mean, maybe not to this effect just yet, but you know, the Steam console and something called On Live, I wasn't even aware that existed. I'm very curious to see what that could be like. You know, what games are available? Are they just PC games that you can pull in now only, or, you know?
Well, as an example, the PlayStation Now service has been around for about 3 years. And the one hurdle that it has, in my opinion, is that it's a bit on the expensive side, at around $20 a month or something, 20, $30 a month. But there's a crap ton of games you can play, and they're not just PS4 games, PS3 games, PS2, PS1. And you have access to these games all the time. And it's a way of saving hard drive space. It's a way of building the library without, you know, really putting too big of a dent in the old wallet. And it's all a question of, I really feel like that particular service, that's big failure is that the cost to benefit ratio is pretty significant. You have like over 100 games, you know, every month you can play, and they rotate stuff out and they build the library up, and it's a good service. But for the amount of money that they're charging, it's a bit much. And should they ever get to a place where each individual stable of games, and whether we're talking about Sony or Microsoft or Steam, what have you, if they get to a place where they can be as affordable and competitive as, say, a Netflix, like if it was $10-12 a month for that service, I would use it. Absolutely. Because with a good enough internet connection, you could stream these games easily in both directions, if you get my drift. So it would create a wider market for other stuff too.
Yeah, but how many games a year do you think the people that would use this service would have been buying instead, right? I mean, look at this year. Spider-Man, Monster Hunter World, Tomb Raider. There's 3 so far, $60 games. Right? And we're just talking on the PC side. If you throw in a 4th game and you're playing those, that's $240 if you're not getting any discounts, right? At $60 a game. Right. That's the annual cost of a $20 a month subscription. So I agree it needs to be cheaper because they're still only going to play 2, 3, or 4 games. You're going to sit down, you're going to play God of War and all that.
In the interest of being fair to Sony, since we're kind of using them as the litmus here, it is $20 a month, so it's not horrible. But it's not. It needs to be like it was 15. It would be, I think, right in the sweet spot. There's over 650 games right now, and I'm just glancing at their artwork. You've got God of War 3 Remastered, Mortal Kombat 9, Red Dead Redemption, Killzone Shadowfall, which was a launch PS4 game, The Walking Dead Telltale series, Evolve, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, WWE, Bloodborne, XCOM, Sniper Elite. That game sucks. Yakuza 5, Elder Scrolls. You can play Elder Scrolls for Oblivion through this service. Fallout New Vegas. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. Until Dawn, Shadow of the Colossus, Uncharted 3, Street Fighter, which is like, how would you play it like that? Resident Evil 4 for Gringa. You can play Resident Evil 4 streaming to a PlayStation. She's like, PC, whatever. But there's a lot of cool stuff in there. And if you are someone who plays a lot of different games, that is probably going to be a good deal for you. If like GamerDad says, if you're planning to buy tons of games throughout the year, like, so you have to decide, are you going to play? If you were to play the streaming stuff primarily, it's a good deal. If you're like me and you just like, I'm a shelf guy. I'm a rainy day shelf person. I find good deals on games and I put them on my shelf or in my hard drive, and then if Destiny servers are down, I might play something. That's honest to God, Dylan.
Always comes back to if the Destiny servers are down. Always.
It does. Okay.
One thing I didn't hear you mentioning on that game list, I didn't hear any new releases.
No, they don't. Basically, they will put stuff on the service, like a year after release and stuff like that. Like, so Until Dawn was like from 2015, and because they still got to make their money, right? So it's like you can't at the $20 price. What they could do is like integrate, like you can play this game 2 weeks after it launches, for a month, and then we'll take it away for 6 months or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like something where you'll have access to it not long after it launches to encourage you to buy it. You'll get to play it for a limited period of time, and then we'll yank it away from the service until it gets a little bit older to I think it would be a good marketing tool. I think it would work. Because I don't think it makes financial sense for them to just offer new games.
Not on day one
price point.
No.
No. But if you go 2 weeks in or something like that, and then you say, if you got 3 weeks to play this, I think it's cool. But I think part of the reason that you're not seeing a lot of newer releases on there is the technology, because streaming a game down to your system in real time is very taxing on your connection. And if there was an online element to that game of PvP or something, you're now double dipping on your latency at that point, because your input lag is going to be astronomical, especially when it has to sync with a server. Like, you couldn't put Overwatch on there. There's no way.
Nope.
It wouldn't work. Even with, because you're not just dependent upon your connection to Sony servers. You're dependent on Sony's connection to Blizzard servers, and the person you're playing against connection to Blizzard servers. And if both of you are playing through PlayStation now, I'll fire at you and I might hit you by Thursday.
Right.
You know. But what this article is saying is that there's the technology and the infrastructures are such that it could very well get to this place. I am skeptical. I am hopeful. I think it's interesting. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Gringa, is this a service you would ever use if it had the games you wanted? Modern day games? No.
I mean, no. I like to have it in my hands.
I mean,
old school.
I
right?
I like to own my games.
Mm-hmm.
I think the gaming industry, in my opinion, it's starting with this subscription stuff, the cloud, this, that. I feel like they're starting to kind of take our ownership away from us. I like to own my games. I like to play them offline sometimes. That's just me. But I would rather pay the money for a new game and have it forever.
Fair. I would argue though that there are plenty of games love trending in game design where they're an always online game, whether it's Fortnite or Destiny
Fallout
or
76.
Yeah. And so as soon as they turn the servers off, that game is worthless to you anyway.
Yeah.
You can't play it,
That's what you're saying.
So in games like that, I get it. Like we're in that case, like, man, whatever, But when we're talking about something like the one player offline experience, absolutely put that disc on my shelf, put that cartridge on my shelf. Because I'm a big proponent of and a big supporter of the idea of preserving game history, which I don't think we have nearly enough programs for. All this money they're putting into the game streaming, like maybe how about you back some of these museums and put some pressure on the Smithsonian to really start archiving games, or just allow the people that have been archiving games for the last couple decades to give access to the games that are no longer providing you with any stream of revenue whatsoever. Wait, my soapbox, I almost tripped over it. I'm sorry. But I will scream from the mountaintops about that sort of thing. And I think the online gaming thing has the potential to be an archival service if they do it right. We're not there yet, but they are promising things ahead. And as far as things that are bright and shiny and are in the future, Captain Marvel.
Oh,
had a trailer come out today.
Yes. So you don't watch trailers, you said?
I do not watch trailers.
Can I spoil anything, or do you want me to not talk about what happened?
I mean, the short version is that I kind of know the story of Captain Marvel. I know it's set in the 90s. I realize that this is a Carol Danvers character. I get that too. I know what her costume looks like because I saw the concept art early. It's pretty cool.
But it doesn't match the original comic book one, right? Does it match the Danvers comic book?
It's similar.
Okay.
It's an interesting take on that version of the character. The original Captain Marvel character was a male. There are rumors that there's a version of that character in the film, which I think is smart. Introduces some villains in this that I've wanted to see in the film for a long time, and I was happy to know that Marvel still owned them, the Skrulls. Because the Kree, which is something that you saw a little bit hinted at in Guardians of the Galaxy, this is the race that Captain Marvel, the original one anyway, kind of hails from, and there's a deep kind of dive into the really cosmic stuff. But I think after, Guardians 1 and 2, and then we've got Doctor Strange, and now we've got Infinity War, people are just ready to just blow the doors off and tell some really wild stuff. And bringing Captain Marvel into this universe is the right way to do that. I would caution against spoiling any real story stuff we saw in the trailer, because there's a lot of people out there that don't watch trailers like me, that don't want to get spoiled. But I want to hear what you have to think about it, regardless.
So, avoiding as much spoiler as possible, I found the trailer to make it very clear what the context was going to be. It is going to feel like what I saw felt like an origin story. They're trying to describe who this woman is and how she is or became or whatever. Trying not to say anything to trigger a spoiler. I did see some flashes or cameos or quick appearances of specific characters I was very excited to see. from the comic books, I think if I recall correctly, she was very close with Samuel L. Jackson's character. I don't remember if yet. I get to see him looking like with minus the afro, a little bit more like Pulp Fiction look, right? Much younger.
There you go.
They cleaned him up. You know, so you definitely got the earlier vibe and everything like that. I am curious to know what the origin story of Captain Marvel is, so I can kind of link that to the trailer, because this story is gonna feel to me like some other origin stories that have to get changed to fit into the MCU. I'm really thinking that that's gonna have to happen.
I feel like if the way Marvel's been writing some of these origin stories has been smart, and this one's going to be kind of interesting because I think it's extremely important that this character be an empowered female, be an independent empowered female, but we also have to pay homage to the character that like built that brand up to that point, which happens to be a white blonde male. Okay. I'm not sure how they're going to write that mythology together, because in the mythos that where Captain Marvel is Carol Danvers, this woman, the original Captain Marvel was there. You know, he was there, and then eventually she got the mantle passed. And without going into like some crazy, you know, knuckle dragging sandbag approach to like, well, here's this guy and now it's her. I'm curious to see how they're going to do that,
right,
without really slowing down or devaluing her story, because her story is what's important. And we need more empowered front leading women in Marvel and comic book films. We need them. I think this is a great character to do that with. And this is like this 90s thing. And then it kind of ties into something that ties into Infinity War, because it's inevitable this character is going to make her way into Infinity Wars too. And being that there's a large chunk of time between the two stories, I'm interested to see how that how directly that will link. Because what if we had Avengers 1 and then Captain America First Avenger came out? That's almost like what this is in a way. So I'm kind of curious about it. But since we have a female here with us, you know, we've had Wonder Woman, but now Marvel gets like their shot at really going for the gusto. Like, how do you feel about this?
Well, I always love seeing powerful women on the big screen. I mean, it's exciting. I don't know much about the character like you do. I mean, I'm like listening to you going, oh my gosh, I got to take notes.
This is a relatively minor character in terms of like the mainstream history of Marvel. So don't go down that road. This is like Guardians of the Galaxy, where no one in the mainstream knew who they were until that movie came out, and it's okay. It's fine.
I mean, I think it's great. I mean, why wouldn't I? I love to see a powerful female superhero. Who wouldn't? I mean, Wonder Woman blew me away. I loved it. So I'm excited to see it. And I won't say anything about the trailer.
Okay, cool. I'm still spoiler free.
Still spoiler free. I mean,
that's right.
I would encourage you to possibly check it out if you can. We've got till March.
No. I didn't watch a single trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming. I haven't watched a single trailer for either of the Godzilla films. Okay. Didn't watch a single trailer for Infinity War. When I went to a movie and I saw that was a thing, I covered my ears, I closed my eyes, and I told the person I was with to tap me when it was over.
The 6-year-old not listening.
I want to see a movie to watch the story. If I wanted to get the thing spoiled, I would, in this day and age, I'll go out and find it. Because the way these people that market these films, they're giving away way too much of the damn story. And it takes away from the experience. I mean, the other night, Farron and I, that's my lady, we watched a movie called Hereditary, which I'd never even heard of. And she was like, I heard about this. Let's watch this. I'm like, okay. Thinking that I was just not going to dig it, because it's as horror movies go in this century, not a huge fan myself. Just trying to get me to do a jump scare every 5 minutes is not the way you scare me. Like, you've got to fill me with dread. You have to tell a story. You can't just set up a gag and expect me to be like, "Ooh, you got me." Like, that's not That's not what it is. But Hereditary builds tension, builds emotion, builds character relationships, builds dread. Like it really, like it triggered an anxiety attack in me. Like it was that intense of a film. Reminded me of like what Rosemary's Baby, when it first came out, Exorcist when it first came out, and some other films as well, like being so out there relative to the culture that existed at the time that like it was something to talk about. And we're still talking about this like 3-4 days later, like, oh, this movie you were freaking over. And it's something that like I wouldn't let someone under the age of 18 see if I can help it. Because it wasn't like over the top in terms of like its imagery, but like just the intensity of that imagery was such. Had I seen one of these stupid ass Hollywood trailers, it would have spoiled half of those moments for me. But the word of mouth is what got us interested in the film. We saw the film cold and we were better for it. I avoided spoilers for Infinity War for months. I just saw it for the first time a month ago and I was amazed by it. I was blubbering like an idiot. You know, spoilers, it's sad. You know, and I don't begrudge that. I have, at this point, I have faith that Marvel can deliver on a good film. I don't need to see a freaking trailer to convince me to go see it.
Well, I can tell you, I definitely felt a connection to the character, and I wanted to know more about the story. I felt drawn in, and it caught my attention. It did feel like not necessarily just a teaser. It didn't feel like a full in-depth trailer. Other than I kind of have an idea for the plot now, but I'm looking forward to it. I am now going to want to go do my research on this movie, like, or on the comics. I'm going to want to go do my research on her backstory because of this. Like, so it caught me like that.
Well, like, if I may interject with that, like, I think that if people were like excited for Ant-Man, going and researching Ant-Man was the last thing they should have done. And I feel the same way about this character, because there's a lot of stuff that one expects from Ant-Man, knowing Ant-Man's history, that we didn't really get in the first film. We got more of that actually in Civil War, you know, with a certain thing that happened in that film. If you have not seen that yet, I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's a really cool moment. And it wasn't the character we thought it was going to be. It wasn't the setup we thought, but it still was a great film. Fits perfectly in the universe, whatever. So I caution you against getting too deep into it. What I would recommend, watch the movie and then do it. Sure. Because there's, like you were saying, in order to fit this character into the MCU, they're going to have to take some liberties. You know what I mean? It's something that it will either be like such a cool take on it that it'll almost erase certain pieces of the history that just don't need to be there. Or it will be something that really Marvel usually does, which is is a clever intertwining of what they need to make happen from a cinematic standpoint and what we do expect. Like Spider-Man Homecoming was so good at doing. It's like, here's what you want out of Spider-Man, but we have to go in this direction here to get where we need to be for our story marks, you know, later in this phase or whatever they're calling it. So I feel like this is a character that they can afford to go nuts with because it is such a peripheral character. All right. A piece of Captain Marvel lore that I will give you, back when it was the male Captain Marvel, his alter ego was Rick Jones of Incredible Hulk fame. And basically he would be like stuck in this like negative zone, and Rick Jones would have to be like, yo, Cap, boom. And he'd have to put his wrists together, and then Captain Marvel would come out and Rick Jones would be in the negative zone, chilling by himself in some weird dimension. And it's as silly as it sounds. It really is. Because like they had nothing for Rick Jones to do because Hulk got intelligent. He was useless. They're like, well, we'll just give him to Captain Marvel. Like, what? Like, what is that? But they actually did that. So I hope that Rick Jones is like somewhere in there, like a janitor or something. Like, well, I used to be Captain Marvel. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I would kind of dig that.
So maybe instead of a Stan Lee cameo, we'll see a Rick Jones cameo instead, right?
I would love to see a Rick James cameo. Well, that will never happen. I'm Captain Marvel, bitch. Okay,
no. So if you guys are curious, go check it out. You can easily just Google Captain Marvel trailer. It is everywhere right now.
Yes.
If you
hard
don't
to
want
avoid, I might add.
Yes, it's very difficult to avoid. If you don't want to see it, I'm not gonna put the link up in the description so people don't accidentally click on it or fall into it or kind of trip over the trailer, so to speak, because I don't want to spoil anything. But it is very interesting, and knowing nothing about the character, it does make me think that the movie will provide some good entertainment and some good plot to catch your attention.
Speaking of catching your attention, if there's a podcast topic you want us to discuss on the show, get our attention by emailing us at TRUtalk@TRUtalkgaming.com or go to our website, TRUgaming.com, and social media links to contact us.
Remember to subscribe to our channels for episodes via YouTube, Twitch, iTunes, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and Spotify.
We'll be back in a week with more True Talk and special guest Queen of Misfit. Make sure you guys check out our Discord at discord.gg/TRUgaming and tell all your friends, unless you're like me and don't have any, about the podcast. Angry Gringa, it is an absolute pleasure to have met you and have you on the show. We hope you enjoyed yourself as much as we did.
I did. Thank you, guys.
It's been a blast. I'm gonna need more angry next time, but I appreciate you being here. It's been a lot of fun.
Crucible, Iron Banner, we'll make it happen.
Yeah. Say goodnight, Jim.
You bet. No.
Say goodnight, Gringa.
Good night.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Da ba da, da ba dee,